becoming an interior designer or things like that, or interior architect, for instance. Primarily, it is going to be the architecture for you. But within one space, you have to design a space, by the way. And understanding of the space is not something which is just to be learned in 4 years of the college, although you're going to learn the technicality of it. But understanding is like a personality where you need to perform also in your examination, your understanding of space, and various parameters which is required for that. Maintaining a well balanced space with better color combinations and everything. So yeah, so we'll see that all those things we are going to put in the context, and we'll understand some ways and some rules to create a good space, well balanced looking space. Now, similarly, what you saw yesterday, one study material, there is a study material for space as well. Okay, the study material, I'll show you what it's called. Gaurav sir, please enable the screen sharing. Am I audible? Is the voice coming good or is coming low?
No, sir, the voice is fine.
Fine.
Yeah.
Okay, Gaurav sir, please enable screen sharing. Reason we do the perspectives to create the depth on a linear surface. So that how any kind of composition work out, and composition basically happens uh, for primarily for creating a well balanced space, and eventually you're becoming architect or you're becoming an interior designer or things like that, or interior architect, for instance. Primarily, it is going to be the architecture for you. But within one space, you have to design a space, by the way. And understanding of the space is not something which is just to be learned in 4 years of the college, although you're going to learn the technicality of it. But understanding is like a personality where you need to perform also in your examination, your understanding of space, and various parameters which is required for that. Maintaining a well balanced space with better color combinations and everything. So yeah, so we'll see that all those things we are going to put in the context, and we'll understand some ways and some rules to create a good space, well balanced looking space. Now, similarly, what you saw yesterday, one study material, there is a study material for space as well. Okay, the study material, I'll show you what it's called. Gaurav sir, please enable the screen sharing. Am I audible? Is the voice coming good or is coming low?
No, sir, the voice is fine.
Fine.
Yeah.
Okay, Gaurav sir, please enable screen sharing. Please activate the screen sharing. Missing on reply. Right. So composition, okay, spatial understanding and composition. This is what you're going to access in the application, Ignite India application. Now, in this, you're going to understand various rules of creating well-balanced composition, spatial understanding, and composition. Now, the first type of composition, what we are going to talk about is centralized composition. One thing, couple of which I think you're going to do class about that tomorrow. Design principles, which is applied in architecture as well as it is. It's the same thing. Now, the design principle talks about any well-designed space or product, primarily for you, space has to be balanced. It has to be. That's the first requirement. It has to be balanced. Anything which is so hardcore goes out of balance, it is going to create some accidents, right? And especially when you're talking about a space where you live in, balance is the first thing anyone would seek for. So to create the best possible balance, there is one type of composition we call centralized composition. What happens in that? There are times when placing the subjects at the center of the framework really well. Symmetrical scenes are perfect for the centralized compositions. They look really well in a square frame, blah, 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 all this stuff. I'm not very fond of, teaching with these material reading and all this stuff. Like a school teacher. We are going to study on board. Six, in fact, five, primarily five we are going to look at. And couple more extra, which is a little bit technical, we'll see. Three of them are there. Golden ratio, golden triangle, and a couple of other things. But let's understand the first five. One, two, three. Frames are properly visible. Okay. First one, you can start making note also. Centralized composition. What happens in centralized composition? Whatever goes in the center of the frame grabs the attention. First attention goes in the center, right? What happens is, like, when you're creating centralized composition, you try to put the most important element of the whole composition. Composition means you are creating an arrangement of various and many products, different style of many products into one space, and you try to locate them according to their appropriate places, according to their size, their color, the kind of contrast they're going to create. Depending on all these parameters, you're going to place the objects on particular spaces. For an example, let's talk about your bedroom. Bedroom is a whole composition in itself, right? Now you place the bed at a location where you can access things pretty easily, both side. Or when you're getting up and coming down to the bed, you don't hit some unwanted area and hurt yourself or something like that. You place the bed right there in a correct position. Nowadays, the placing bed happening is right there is a socket, the charging thing, because it goes the wire inside your phone, because without that you can't sleep also, although it's hampering your sleep. But anyway, where the socket is nearby. But that's a placement, that's a requirement according to need. It happens. Center tables, not center tables, side tables. Center table happens in sofa. For the bed, it's side table. Side tables always goes on the side, and the height of side table should not increase more than the height of the bed. When you're putting the mattress, it should not increase, it should not be more than that. It may be a little bit lower than that, it will be fine, but not more than that. And it's becoming big, too big, so in compared to in the ratio of the size of the bed, it's not going to fit properly. It will look a little bit weird or odd. If you're having a study table, you find the such kind of corner where you don't have constant mobility, right? Suppose if you're putting a study table inside your bedroom, which many people do, which is not the way to do it. There should be separate study room. But for instance, like you are in your school days, I think many of you might be having a study table inside the room only, right? Okay. Now, when you're placing this study table, okay, I'm talking about like what should be for to create nice composition and everything. And like, okay, we didn't even think about any of these matters while placing our objects. जहाँ पे जो जगह मिल गया वहां पे लगा दिया. But no, when you go in designing, why I'm telling this thing, because I have worked with one interior architect firm for 7-8 months, I think, in Delhi. And there we used to do very expensive projects, very expensive projects, like 25 lakh, 30 lakh, just for the interior. And interior also softcore interior, not the hardcore one. Softcore interior, where we are working on the upholsteries and the color combination of the house and all this stuff. So there we used to take these matters in consideration, and we have seen so many lavish houses. The people who are able to afford 6 lakhs, 7 lakhs, 10 lakh rupees, just curtains for 3 rooms, 6-7 lakhs for 4 rooms maybe. So it's very lucrative. If you make your way through in this career option, you can do something really great, according to money wise also, and according to some great career option. But those people, they take these things seriously, and every small things matters while creating a better composition of the house. So all these things, we need to take care of that, and we have to find correct placement of each single element what we are placing inside the bedroom or inside the house or any area, any space of the house, right? Now, when you talk about the centralized composition, which is the first one what we are going to see as a layout. Whenever you get something really important, which is kind of like the most important element of your whole space, you try to place that object in the center, because that is the thing which gets the biggest attention. For an example, of course, we're not going to talk about this one. Um, Suppose someone is having birthday, right? Now imagine celebrating a birthday, all the guests are standing there, and then the birthday boy or birthday girl, who's there the birthday is placed right on the leftmost side, and everyone is like right side, like all the whole crowd is right side. And how that is going to look? Not going to look nice. That thing has to be in the center, and everyone will be around it, right? Or let's say you have gone for photography session outside of some important uh, historical site. Name any historical site. But you have to think. Let me know when you tell. When it comes in your mind, let me know. Okay, I'll I'll have a sleep for a while. Or someone said Taj Mahal. Yay! Great job, Bhuvan Reddy. Although you took time to speak about that, what are you doing here, all of you? I didn't say a word. You've gone for taking photograph of Taj Mahal and imagining placing Taj Mahal inside your frame right here, like that. And all those minarets are there, blah blah things. And here some trees have. How this is going to look? This composition, not nice. Every time you're going to see Taj Mahal, this whole dome thing which you have cropped right here, that always goes in the center, right? It goes like this. You have the dome thing going out right there in the center, right? And then your minarets of Taj Mahal, you see right here, one goes right there in the back, right? Where we have done the placement directly in the center. Okay, that's a really important element, exactly in the center. Okay, now centralized composition creates the best balance because it balances out both sides equally. Okay, you're going to get this idea when we are going to study about principle of design. uh, Symmetry, symmetrical balance. Okay, this one is creating symmetrical balance. So whenever this happens, you just need to get the idea. Centralized composition. Next one goes rule of third. In rule of third, what do we do? If you have a very not so much important thing going on, or maybe there are two three things which are important and it's a big area you are taking in consideration and you are trying to capture that in one frame, you try to place the elements in such a way where there are various focal point is appearing. So what happens, how the frame works basically is that you divide the frame into three equal parts, horizontally and vertically, right? Three equal parts. And wherever this crossing comes because of these lines, two lines you're doing in the center, we try to draw or place the object according to the placement of this around, around these placement of these points, okay, these crossings, things like that going on. Here in the center, you might be having a couple of, not exactly in the center, by the way, couple of plates are going on. You can have a table on top of that, some wine glass and things having kept. Here in there is something in the background, some paintings are done like that. Everything is around that. So this creates very balanced focal points at every scale, not directly focusing in the center, but the whole thing has been divided properly. Okay, this way we call it second style, rule of third. Okay, that's the type of composition. Next we have midground, foreground, and background. In foreground, the main subject, who is your viewer, who is your guide basically, goes in the foreground. Midground is the secondary subject where the emphasis of the guide is. In background is just there to support a little bit, to create maximum uh, level of depth. Okay, suppose someone is going to his house, trees are going on happening like that, and in the background you can have couple of mountains or trees going on like that. This, if it's there, it's really nice. If it's not there, not not a problem. But if it's there, it's going to increase the depth and it's going to increase the value in your composition. We call it as a third type, foreground element, which is the main guide, main hero of the story or the composition. The target or the destination, what you have goes in the midground. That's a secondary element. Background is there to connect and support and create the highest possible depth in the artwork or in the space. Right? Fourth type, we are not going to talk about that. That's 100% primarily for photography and drawing. Anyway, let's see these things. Centralized composition. Can you see that here? It's creating exact symmetry both side, and this area is placed directly in the center to create highest possible balance both side. This tree, although there is a rule of third also working out here, not only, so you may find that there are like various compositions which is becoming part of uh, one artwork or one photograph. uh, Rule of third, that you divide into three equal parts, you'll find out, look at this tree is falling here and this one is falling on this line, around this line. So it's creating this, two of this highest possible focal point, and there are some birds here down there, right, on this line only. But here the centralized composition is talking about, it's taking the whole, the main subject and the reflection of that as a composition and putting line horizontal rather than vertical, the dividing line. So in that way, it's creating the centralized composition for that. Now look at this one. This is some kind of castle or some kind of a big building, kind of palace. And look at that. This way also is creating horizontally and vertically is creating. This is like one of the highest possible balance, you may say, that it's creating. Photograph as well as the architecture of this building. Okay. Similarly goes with this one, centralized composition. Churches, always the most important element is Jesus and always placed in the center, right? You can see that here. And everything is, this is complete symmetry, it's a radial balance, by the way. We'll talk about this design principles in later classes. This is Rashtrapati Bhavan in Delhi. You can see that's a big neoclassical building, very much so. Uh, so this is what the centralized composition does. This creates the highest possible balance. Inside interior, you can see that in photography also, the similar kind of approach has been taken here. Look at this one, look at this girl who is the kind of leader of the group, maybe placing in the center, trying, main focus is going right there in the center. And the classic example of the someone is getting married. Look at these two kids, small, these girls. Now it's clear that these two are getting married. Okay, this guy and this girl. Look at that, how it has been placed exact following the centralized composition. uh, and this is how it's not like it has been created like that. By nature only it comes, because this is how we are. We try to create the best possible balance so that we can focus on the main element. Right, rule of third, what we talked about, placing Sistine Chapel right there in the background, and there is Paris Eiffel Tower needed to place on rule of third. Now look at this one also. It's a very large piece of area which is being covered, and there are so many important focal points are happening. That's why the largest one has placed here, the secondary one has been placed again around these crossings, and other things are getting followed accordingly. In fact, in the interior also the same thing has been followed here. Right, these both of the chairs has been placed around these dots so that it can create a different focal point as well as the balance. And here this is asymmetrical thing, and of course the rule of third, when you get something asymmetrical, then only rule of third is something which can create interest in your composition. So here the same thing has been taken in consideration, using these things only on one dot, trying to focus on these elements the most. Same thing going on here. The upper ones, the lights has been placed on upper corners. Of course this photograph has been cropped from the side, it should not be like that. Little bit placement should be upwards, niche se thoda zyada crop ho gaya. Same thing goes here. You draw that and you find these elements and these elements are falling around these corners, in the bottom corners. Jahar Hadid's architectural piece is also done with everywhere you can see rule of third is happening. Okay, same way, oh beautiful house, asymmetrical house, important elements has been kept on, keeping the rule of third in mind. Same thing goes with this. Little bit you just bring on, and the paintings and the photography. So this is also, it's not about just building construction and the architecture, it's about the photography also. How well you are going to place your frame so that all these elements, what they are meant for, they will show their full aesthetical appeal. Okay, but the painters and the artists and those people who creates the drawing, they have the power to place the object inside a frame one by one, following the rule of third. This is one oil painting has been done. Okay, so we can see that on falling on this crossing, both of these uh, pots, right? And this is not about the rule of third in the architecture, this is about rule of third in photography, the way the frame has been placed. Same goes with this one also, that perfect angle. Okay, midground, by background, foreground, we talked about it. There is a foreground thing, there is a midground thing, and there is a one background. Look at that, through the window, the glasses of the window, you're able to see in background there are some plants and things are happening. If they're there, it's okay. Not there, it's okay. But if they're there, they're forcing you to, your eye to travel more deep into the background, so that you'll be able to get the full high level of depth experience. Okay, same thing goes here. Foreground elements, these furnitures, background elements, look at these paintings and these glasses and the panels. And in the background, sorry, midground element. In the background element, you can see there's so many buildings seeing through these glasses. and that is creating very high level of depth. Okay, same thing with this, same thing with this. Now these are yep, midground, background, foreground. Okay, so keep these things in mind, and when you are becoming a designer also, the or architect also, there also you'll be having uh, to increase the sensitivity that what is there in surroundings. And examination also you have to see not just one visual but what's happening in the surroundings, so that you can do a comparative study and you can use your instinct to get the best result. Golden rectangle in geometry, we have this thing, golden spiral. Although I'll share one video to you for this, where you can understand golden spiral in much easier way. It's a little bit long video, so this topic is a little bit long, but you'll get the idea if you watch the video in much better way. Some more application of, so this is done by the Fibonacci. This is a Fibonacci series of the numbers, the golden numbers, the golden ratio, and the golden spiral. This is a spiral. So from very long time, you'll find out that many architects and artists, they have been using golden spiral and golden ratio in art, architecture, and various creative explorations. Okay, the Parthenon from Greek, these also are designed on the golden ratio, right? This are, oh nice. This is one of the most beautiful example I have seen. The placement, putting that thing in golden ratio format. Okay. Anyway, don't put your head too much for this. Not required. Golden ratio. Okay. So these are the things you are going to see. Planning composition. These are primarily for drawing purposes. If you want to draw a couple of these things, there are process has been written here. Leading lines, how the leading line works. Take the eye through the whole scene and it travels for far away to create the depth, right? Point of view, the focus basically, where you're focusing at. Okay, and point of view, how it is important. You just have a nice read of this thing, you'll get the idea about this. One of these is incorrect, one of these is correct. Actually this one is correct, this one is incorrect. Now you need to find out why this one, that option number first, this the first photograph is correct and this was incorrect. Anyway, so now the placement is a thing, how you're going to place the object so that they don't look separate, they will create a better connection between each other. Okay, maintaining the proportion between the objects. So if something is far away is going to look smaller, something is very near to you is going to look larger. And how much depth you want to create according to the requirement of the depth, you can reduce the size or increase the size of the elements. Okay, so proportion is the one thing you need to pay attention on. The golden ratio, golden proportion. Okay, so now here you have to read these things. If you read these things, you'll get the idea. It's a little bit written in a very casual language, but you'll get the idea that how this is a bad composition or something is a good composition. Okay, what are the problems for with these kind of houses? Okay, you'll get the idea about this. uh yeah, too much here. Look at that, the space is small and these blights too big for this space. Feels like it's going to crush the whole thing. Looking congested and packed. The proportion matters a lot. The proportion matters. ah, it felt me like that when I was creating this thing. Anyway, now this is like very nice, composed, balanced composition. Of course, here you can see that symmetrical balance is being used as well as centralized composition. Perfect balance with color, everything, right? Now the moment how you can move your eye with the help of using elements, not just creating depth, but with the help of, first you're going to see this one. So literally your eye is going to travel like that. It will come here, and it's swirling. It's swirling through the whole painting. This is painting done by someone. Okay, the balance to show, sorry, the line of action to show the aggression in the each uh, particular gesture of elements. That is also is a big part of creating a good composition. Positive and negative space, manage that properly, understand that. Mostly negative space, you can see that here, that this area is having a lot of negative space, white space. It's not a considered to be a good composition. Balance, this one is the whole size of the element has become little too big. Then you're finding that there is very less negative space, which doesn't create a very nice feeling for any kind of composition, right? Have a read of this thing, you'll get the idea which one is the best composition, right? So just have a look of that, and after that you'll be having a couple of questions at the end. Do you have a question? Good compositions exercise. So here you have to do some exercise, maybe a couple of the drawing and things like that. So that's all about the understanding of good composition. Okay, the fourth one here, if we talk about, I'm just giving you the idea, the name. Okay, so depth created by blur, background blur, foreground where you're focusing, you're going to keep it in very focus, and something which is very far away from you, make it a little bit blurry. So that also will be able to create the difference. And the fifth one, let's not do it. That one is a little complicated. You'll be able to show on computer softwares and things like that. So that's all for today's composition class. And tomorrow we are going to talk about the principle and element. First, we are going to talk about the element of design and principle of design. Be present. That also is going to be a long class. And if you're sleeping, video off karke, tomorrow you're going to get more sleep. So take coffee before the class, maybe if it's possible for you, because the class is really, really, really important. It's directly related to your examination tomorrow class, whatever the topic you have, element and principle of design. All right. Okay, then see you tomorrow. Access this document and read it. Okay, and do all these exercises and try to understand the relation of each elements within one composition to understand a better composition. Okay, that's all. Bye bye. Reason we do the perspectives to create the depth on a linear surface. So that how any kind of composition work out, and composition basically happens uh, for primarily for creating a well balanced space, and eventually you're becoming architect or you